Speaking of girl power, by the way.
By the way, if you just need a, oh my gosh, it's like an estrogen injection with these next folks. I'm not kidding, guys. Get ready for this. Wow.
This is going to be a big one. All right, in 2011, Anne-Marie Murrell helped create a web TV talk show called Politichicks. That's right. The show featured a number of powerful guests, and a year later, Brittany, remember her, actress extraordinaire, and Dr. Gina Loudon joined the cast. They soon realized that they needed to do more to reach conservatives across America, and the loudest voices were coming from women, Brian. Oh, women.
All right.
So they started Politichicks.com to broaden their voices. They believe that conservative women, with their maternal instincts and warrior spirit, can change the world. To tell us more, please welcome to the stage the Politichicks, Anne-Marie Murrell, Brittany, and Dr. Gina Loudon. So ladies, first of all, thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure to have you. And you have your microphones there. Hopefully we've...
Here you go.
Look at, see, Brian Whitman, not only great on the radio, also an excellent stagehand. Good job, Brian. All right, well, let's just start from the beginning. Anne-Marie, where did the idea for Politichicks come from? What was the starting point for you?
I used to do little videos throughout Southern California, and Larry Elder was one of the first persons I ever interviewed. And I used to go to conservative events, and I was the only person with a camera and a microphone. It was so bizarre. And I kept thinking, well, someday I'm going to go to one of these, and I'm going to have to compete for attention and to get interviews. Never happened, and it still hasn't. We are kind of the media. So that turned into a little talk show. It started out with Victoria Jackson from Saturday Night Live and me and two other women. And then it kind of morphed into what we are now. And now we have, right now we have, I think, 50 writers across the United States. They're strong activists. One of them, Julia C. in Oklahoma, was instrumental in stopping Common Core in Oklahoma. Right. Yeah. And then with these two ladies, we are representing the women vote, and we can help any politician who reaches out to us that we deem viable.
I like that. Well, now you ladies together wrote a book called What Women Really Want. And I know a lot of the men in the audience want to know about that, but us women, we want to know that too. So what is the answer to that question? Politically, what do women really want? We'll start with Dr. Gina.
Well, I can tell you what it isn't, and what it isn't is what every single lamestream media network wants to tell you it is. It isn't, women do not want to trade their vote for $10 in free birth control per month and access to kill their babies.
That's absolutely right.
And so we wanted to set the record straight on that, and that's what we've tried to do. And we wanted to talk about real issues that really do matter to women, like, I don't know, economic security, national security, constitutional security. Those are the things that when we talk to women all across the country, when we travel and speak to them, those are the things that women really want. And we also wanted to have the conversation with the GOP to tell them how to communicate that they really are the party. Our platform really is the party that speaks to what women really want. And we wanted to have that conversation with the leadership of the GOP. We're still working on that.
Let me put this question to Morgan here. Let me sort of prod gently from the other side on the left here. There is a political figure out there who some would say will be representing women in 2016. Well, you want to take me out front? Want to follow me to the parking lot? Her name is Hillary Clinton, obviously. Okay, so how do Republican women sort of overcome the obstacle? You guys are very eloquent spokeswomen for what women want, as Jennifer put the question in the last segment here. How do you make the case as an informed female voter against Hillary Clinton, who will very likely be the first major party female nominee for president?
Well, the interesting thing is Hillary Clinton is everything that we're not. And, and I grew up in the 1960s, so I saw firsthand that feminist, that tough, in-your-face, angry feminist thing where they made everybody who didn't think like them feel guilty if you didn't get in the workplace, if you didn't get out and you didn't compete with men, there was something wrong with you. I still believe that Hillary Clinton thinks that way. And I still believe that that is what she's going to do. They are going to try everything they possibly can to make us the bad guys. And they're doing, and supposedly they're doing the right thing. But I must tell you, this past week, I've noticed that the feminist message, they're beginning to be a little bit afraid of us. Because the feminist message is changing. I was listening to a couple airheads from Hollywood, but they were saying things like, well, you know, the new feminist movement means that women should be able to do whatever they want. If they want to be a mom, they can be a mom. Okay, where did they get that from? We write about that in our book, What Women Really Want. We lay the whole thing out. That is what we want. That is what we believe. We cannot let them steal that message from us. Now, Hillary Clinton, she has a lot of baggage. She really does. And it's coming out more and more
not just
and
Bill.
more.
I was going to say, have you met Bill Clinton? That's baggage.
Yeah, the bag is about 220 pounds, 6'1", right?
Yeah, more and more every single day. And I hope and pray that everybody on our side points it out. I hope they're not afraid. I hope they don't back down like they did with Barack Obama. Because they never called him out on anything. Not Reverend Right, not anything. And I hope they don't do that with Hillary Clinton.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because you bring up messaging, and messaging and a narrative is really important for success in any election cycle. So what specifically can the GOP do? What messaging can they put out to bring more women in, number one? And number two, are there any candidates that you see that you think are going to be very, very viable either for the state of California Senate race or for the presidential election in 2016, if all of you want to answer, starting with Anne-Marie?
A couple of days ago, I had the honor, I got to meet with Governor Rick Perry, who is stuck in traffic apparently. And I asked him a couple of tough questions, because I am a 7th generation Texan. Thank you for this necklace, Gina. You're welcome. 7th generation Texan. My ancestors came to Texas 3 years after the Alamo, which was probably for the best, because that's why I'm probably here. I asked him, I explained, I stood up in front of, there were only about 30 people, and I was the oddball in that room. And I said, all of us conservatives have been denigrated by our own party. They ridicule us, they call us names and weird, you know, John McCain type names that they call us. I said, all we want is someone with, pardon my Spanish, cojones. If any of you speak Spanish, you know what that means. Yeah. Backbone for the ladies, and sorry. And I said, will you, when a Karl Rove type whispers into your ear, I'll give you $60 gazillion if you compromise. I said, will you compromise with the monsters on the left? Because maybe we could have done that before, you know, B.O., before Barack Obama, but we can't do that anymore. We're not compromising with Democrats. We're compromising with monsters. Are you willing to do that? What will you do when he whispers in your ear? And his answer was really good. And I'm hoping he'll tell you. I won't speak for him, but his answer was excellent. What women really want, what men on our side want, is backbone. We want someone to stand up to these people who not only hate our country, but seem determined to take her down. And we have to fight like never before.
One of the...
Thanks.
These are the Politichicks, of course, and one of the interesting gaps is when you sort of look at the way people vote, when you look at the way women vote in elections, one of the great gaps that we see is that women who are moms or who are married, who have families, are much more likely to vote for a conservative candidate because you will see that break. Younger, single women will vote for Democratic candidates, and then you see when children come along, when a husband comes along, when a family comes along, you see that split, and they sort of tend to vote for more conservative candidates. Is that sort of just a natural progression? Is that something to be expected, or is there some great mystery to that?
You take it, Gina.
So I'm the nerd of the group, so here, prepare to get bored right now. But I'm going to give you a couple of numbers because to me, this speaks volumes. In a Forbes study, okay, this isn't conservative, right-wing, whatever. This is a Forbes study. They said they interviewed working women, and of the working women they interviewed, more than 80%, it's actually almost 90%, it's 86-point-something% of working women agreed on one thing. They would like the luxury of staying home. Now just let that sink in for a moment, because when we have that on our side, how do we lose? The way we lose is that we begin to compromise with their message. Our Republican leadership begins to buy in to what the Democrats are selling rather than looking at the hard, cold facts. And I'm going to give you another one. Sorry to get statistical on you. It's kind of what I do.
She's a doctor.
Well, excuse that part, because I think you have to relearn everything once you go through all the academia, right? But this is another fact. In 2012, 56% of the women who voted for Barack Obama. In 2014 midterm elections, this is what you did, grassroots people. Don't ever let anybody tell you you're not making a difference, because the only way this happened was you. We know it wasn't Boehner, okay? In 2014, that exact same 56% of women voted against the policies of Barack Hussein Obama, and they voted for Republicans. We are shifting the tide. We are winning the women's vote, and we don't have to compromise to do it. And let me tell you one other thing that I think is really important. They're going to talk a lot about social issues, and they're going to say, and there are a lot of good candidates, by the way, that we have lined up. I wanted to harken back to what Anne-Marie said, because I know she wanted to say there are a lot of we have not endorsed a candidate. There are a lot of great candidates on our side. It's important that we have a Republican elected, and that's what matters to us. But let's not let them message us, and let's not let them tell us what issues matter. And they're going to try to say, don't talk about the social issues. If you talk about the social issues, you'll lose the moderates. That's a lie from the pit of you-know-where, and I'm going to tell you why. You take any social issue that they want to name. I don't care if you want to call it abortion. I don't care if you want to call it gay marriage. I don't care what you talk about. But let's just take abortion, for example. There's a fiscal impact. You pay $1.5 million every single day of your life to fund Planned Parenthood to abort babies. That, my friends, is a fiscal issue, not a social issue, and I'm not going to hide from that fact, and our candidates shouldn't either. They need to speak to the fiscal impact of the lies of the left talking about social issues over and over again. So those are some of the things we need to, cold hard facts we need to call out.
Just one thing. I just want to say to everybody who's here, it is so important. This house is packed. And it is so important that you're here because your voice is being heard. You are making a difference. Women are concerned. Just because of what you all are doing and passing the message and getting involved and learning things, I'll tell you, women are not just worried about a little bit, making a little bit of a higher wage. They're not. They're worried about ISIS. They're worried about Common Core. They're worried about taking your religion or your religious freedom away from you. Women are concerned. They economically handle the families. Most of the women do. Most of the women set up a budget. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. The left tries to make us look stupid. If I was a liberal woman, I would be insulted that all they thought of me was birth control or something from the neck down. I would be insulted. So just to let you know, we appreciate every single one of you because we know how passionate you are and we know you're making a difference. And thank God you are out there.
Absolutely. Now, you guys are moms. You talk to many people, many women who have children, and one of the major issues that have started to come up during this election cycle is Common Core. You brought it up, Morgan. So let's talk about it. What do you think? What are your feelings on the Common Core debate?
It is the Obamacare of education. My mother was a high school teacher for 44 years in the public school system in Texas, and she loved, she was the teacher that would stand on the desk and throw talk at kids to get their attention, including me. She was the best teacher I ever had. She loved teaching, and I make that past tense. She won't go back and even substitute teach anymore, because the Department of Education, for one thing, has almost killed public schools, and now the final stake in the heart is Common Core. And one of the potential political or presidential candidates that they're throwing the name out there is very, 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 very supportive of Common Core. He's calling it different names, as Common Core supporters tend to do. They'll call it, well, before it was No Child Left Behind, sort of, and now this is the elevated that. But a zebra is still a zebra if you paint it purple, right? So it's dangerous, and I encourage everyone to read your children's textbooks and every single bit of homework that they bring home, because it's bad. This woman, though, has the solution.
I do? Because, please tell.
She has 5 children, five, and she homeschools.
And thanks to all of you parents out there who homeschool. And if you don't homeschool and you want to homeschool but you think it's too much work, that's another lie they tell you. I can tell you how to, I obviously do a few other things besides sit at home and teach my kids. And I can tell you how to do it very streamlined. Thank God in some ways for the internet, right? At least that's one of the good things. But for those of you who've ever thought about it, that's great and that's important. But we still have to keep up this fight on the Common Core front, because a lot of parents aren't going to homeschool. And those are the children that not only are going to be preyed upon by the left for their votes, we know that, right? But now, guess what they're doing? Now, the Muslims have figured out that the disadvantaged in this world are a great place to recruit. And they are doing it in boatloads. You cannot believe how they have figured this out, and they're getting very cellular in the outskirts of towns near you, right, all over California, and using our uneducated or poorly educated children for their ends. And so we absolutely have to continue to fight Common Core. Even if everyone in this room homeschools, we still are going to have to continue this fight. It's an important one.
I want to add one thing about that. I recently did an episode of the Glazov Gang, Front Page Magazine, and we were talking about Common Core, and there was an expert on the show with me who said that Saudi Arabia is one of the leading sellers of textbooks in America right now. Wow. And I don't know if y'all know that. I was shocked. But the more you dig into Common Core, the more little weird tentacles you're going to find that don't belong there in our educational system.
And what they're doing is they're driving a wedge between you and your child. That's what they're doing. They don't want you to be able to help your child with that homework. They want the school and the federal government to be the end-all be-all. Yep. That's what they want. And there is another thing that a lot of people don't even understand, is that they are going to track your child. They're going to know what they like, what they eat, what they do, everything. So it's a very dangerous, slippery slope. It's bad all the way around, and we have to fight it, and we have to stand strong.
But I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's also a great issue to talk to your church-going friends about. And here I go back to my nerdiness. I'm just proving this over and over, aren't I? This is another statistic you need to know. This is Pew Research. They interviewed people who said they are regular church attenders, okay? Of those who attend church regularly, do you know that only 50% of those people even vote in a general election? Now, you and I both know you can't even make a difference in a general election. It's all done. Karl Rove picked the candidate and it's over. But I'm telling you that if you want to have impact, it has to be in the primary election. And only 50% are showing up for the general. Can you imagine what the primary numbers are like? Abysmal. And I'm going to scare you worse now. Moms, you know about Common Core. Talk to the ladies in the church pew next to you, because do you know what numbers they vote in? 20% of women who consider themselves church-going even vote in a general election. Can you see how ripe this field is with tools like Common Core to get people to get involved and to care? Bring them to your next meeting. Bring them to this event next year, right? That's your job over the next. And I'm telling you something else. We have 2 years to save the world. I'm not even kidding. So we got to pour it out now and look at the difference you made. Look at the difference. Stay your course.
I asked you guys about Hillary Clinton, so I feel obligated, since you guys, I think, I see it, Morgan knows, because I'm going to say a name. Everybody's going to have an instant reaction when I say the name Sarah Palin. Because when we talk about gender politics, or we talk about powerful women in the world of politics, obviously that's a name that comes up on the conservative side. Is she sort of any more, with respect, a serious candidate, or is she sort of just in the Sarah Palin business now and not really out there for consideration for higher office? What's your feeling about Sarah Palin as we lean into 2016?
She gave us our cover quote for our book, so we have to admit our bias right here from the start. Right?
She's wonderful, and the media did a amazing hit job on her, and most people think Tina Fey is Sarah Palin. I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. I don't know what's in her heart. I don't know if she would want to get back into the battle and run as a candidate. But she is a powerful force for the Conservative Party. She is. There's no doubt. I'll tell you what I would love to see. If Hillary Clinton does run, I would love to see Carly Fiorina in a debate with her.
Yes, sir. Oh, my gosh. Be a great matchup.
I would pay for that debate because I think it would be a massacre. There would be, absolutely, it would be amazing. But if we can cultivate strong women and don't let the media define them, I think that the McCain campaign was kind of caught off guard when the media really attacked Sarah Palin and made people just believe all these lies about her.
Well, let me actually, not to interrupt you, but let me ask you this question, because I think it's a real issue. Does a female candidate have to run a different kind of campaign than their male counterparts?
I don't know, what do you think? I want to say something about Sarah Palin, too, though. It's not just the left that denigrates and wads people up and throws them away. Our side does that, too. We will listen to them and we'll say, oh, they made fun of Sarah Palin on Saturday Night Live. She said something bad about Alaska or whatever. We're seeing Russia from. We can't like her anymore. And then we back away. We will wad people up ourselves and throw them in the trash. Ted Cruz, oh, he did this, or they don't like him, or people don't, so we're going to throw him away. The Tea Party, oh, somebody looked funny at Tea Party, so we have to stop doing that. We have to stand up for our own. If they do something really bad, like support Common Core, for example, then wad them up and throw them away, perhaps. But even on that, if we disagree on one issue, we have to do what President Reagan said, and we have to say if we can agree on a certain percentage, that's great. We don't tend to do that anymore. So we've got to support our people and stop doing what the left does, because they love it when we do that.
And to answer your question, my husband was in the Senate for 14 years, well, actually the House and then the Senate, and I watched him go through all that, and I feel like I know the inside of politics in ways I really honestly wish I didn't. And then I ran for Senate as well. So when you ask, does a woman need to run differently, I have a really strong opinion on that, and I would say no. Because I think American people are the American people, and they need to run like an American. We are crying out for a leadership that understands our exceptionalness.
Right. It's a great answer.
Exceptionalism.
Now, with an election cycle coming up, we have a big one. Barbara Boxer, finally leaving, brushing the dust out. The vacancy sign is hung. We're looking for someone there. We're looking for a strong presidential candidate to run. Some of the names are great that we've heard. Scott Walker comes to mind. Some of the others, I don't know if we're ready for another Bush. I don't know, maybe, but we've got a couple of candidates out there. So in your estimation, what are the 3 biggest issues facing us? And you can answer this any way you'd like, either in California or on a whole in the nation for the upcoming election.
For me, number 1 is national security.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have that, and with this door wide open, inviting Islam into our country, and with wide, open arms, loving open arms, we're done. It's over. I spoke at the National Security Summit last year in Washington. I was with Frank Gaffney's group, Center for Security Policy. There's some brilliance coming out of there. The number 1 issue among both extreme left and extreme right at the time, 2014, is national security. And that's over feeding your children. That's over everything that used to be the number 1 issue in our lives. If we don't take care of our country, if we don't protect our borders, if we don't get rid of the Islamists that are here now, if we don't get them out of the Obama administration right now, we're done.
Right up there with Anne Marie's point, I say one of the most important issues we have to really be concerned about is the loss of our freedoms. Every single day, they are chipping away at our freedoms. Our children don't even know the freedoms that we used to have. So we have to be very concerned. The national debt is ridiculous. Countries are not going to buy our debt anymore. They're just not. And then what happens to us? If we don't have a country, we don't have anything. We'll be done. And all of this little penny-ante little stuff that the left worries about,
like Christians,
global warming and all of this other stuff. They say global warming is a bigger threat than ISIS. Excuse me? So we have to really concentrate because the loss of our freedoms is enormous, and they're taking it away every single day.
And my first answer would be economic security because we need that to pay for our national security. So that would be the only reason that I would take any exception to what Anne Marie said, because obviously national security is paramount. But I want to speak to something that we wrote a lot about in our book, and we have a chapter in there called Platforms and Stilettos. And we try to live by that principle, as you can see. And if you guys have ever danced with a woman and she's accidentally dug her heel into that real tender part of your foot right here.
My husband, where is he?
He
knows that.
You don't ever forget that, right? And that's why we named the chapter Platform and Stilettos in our book, What Women Really Want. And the reason we talked about that is because of the importance of the Republican Party platform. When we have candidates come to us and say, your platform doesn't matter to me, they're talking to you. Raise your hand if you in this room have helped and worked to put a plank in the GOP platform before. Raise your hand. Go you. Applaud these people.
Great. Awesome.
Because that's hard work, and that is the constitution of the Republican Party. And I would submit to you that if a candidate says to you, the planks that you put in the platform, I don't care what the issue is. You want an issue put in our platform, then you work to make it a plank in our platform, and then you have it. But until that time, you work for us. This is our Constitution, and you'll stick to it. And that's our message to our candidates in the 2016 presidential and all the elections.